Hi, good evening. My name is Jay Rothman. I am the host of the show. Welcome to Real Men, Real Talk Live. Welcome back to the show. Again, I'm the host of the show. My name is Jay, episode number 98. Welcome, Jeff Fasano, calls Nashville, Tennessee home. Welcome to the studio.
It's good to be back after a week off from you guys.
Yeah, we've missed you, Mr.
man.
Fasano. We'll get there, I'm sure, somewhere through tonight's talk show. We have Josh Richard coming in from Southern California. Welcome to the studio, Josh Richard.
Hey.
Hey. And of course, we have the man of the land from down under. He calls Australia home. His name is Evis Love Heath.
Come on, Josh. That was very Fonzarelli, wasn't it? Hey.
Right. Hey.
Thanks.
Actually, I was going to say that was very Barry White.
That works too. Well, I just want to take a moment here just to welcome our viewers. If you're joining us this evening, live streaming, coming in from 3 different platforms: Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and LinkedIn Live. If you are with us tonight, thank you for joining us and supporting us. If you should hear something that you like or love, we do invite you to tap your love button on your monitor so you could light us up and kick us off and get us hot. If you should have any questions or comments that come through tonight's topic or episode, please drop it into the comment section. We'll do our best to acknowledge it either during our live or on our own replay. And so tonight's topic is number 98. We are quickly approaching the number 100. And we'll figure out somehow, some way to celebrate that with all of our viewers. But in the meantime, tonight's topic is, are you momentarily present or fully present in the moment? And Jeff, you're on the top shelf with me this evening. I've asked you to kick us off and warm us up, since this is a topic that you brought forward in our production meeting just a couple of 24 hours ago. So what is this topic all about? Are you momentarily present or fully present in the moment?
Exactly what you just said, Jay.
All right, well, good.
So I had an experience this week. Oh, I like the way that looks. So you just sprung a new visual on me, guys. So I had an experience this week in a session I did with my friend Ron Baker on Tuesday, and we were just talking about certain things and experiences, and having experiences in life, and having experience in the moment. And we're really talking about what's going on with what I'm doing with this Kickstarter endeavor, what is bringing up in me, and all of these things. And I don't know how the conversation got to this place, but I said, Ron, it's a challenge for me at times to really be in the moment when I'm with someone or in a situation, even in a photo shoot or with a really good friend, to stay in that moment and not move into my headspace. Actually, the conversation began with Ron. I know a lot of the times I'm in my head a lot, and I really want to move it to my heart. And he said, the reason for that is because when you're in a situation with someone or in a moment in a photo shoot or something like that, you have to quantify it. It has to be something. It has to be defined. And when we move into our heads, we're trying to control the situation based upon our past, based upon our wounding, based upon the wounded child. And as we move into the adult, I thought about a friend of mine who I've known for 20 years, and she and I have a very deep soul connection. and we share a lot of love with each other. And when I'm with her, I could feel myself trying to figure it out, trying to quantify it, trying to define it. All of that goes on in my head. So what I'm really missing out on is the connection and the experience in the moment that I'm having with her. Because I'm trying in my head to quantify it, define it, and figure out what it is, or when the wounding comes up, what do I need to do, and what do I need to give her, all that good stuff. And he really said to me, so you're denying yourself in your heart to have this experience. And literally, I felt chunks of armor come, like breaking off from around my heart. And I began to move in, and I started to cry in that moment because I realized how many experiences that I have had where I wasn't fully present in the moment. I would momentarily be there, and then something would happen, and I would move into my brain trying to figure it out, quantify it, define it. Like, what is this supposed to be? As opposed to just allowing myself to be in the experience of the moment. Then I thought about it, and I was like, wow, how much of life have I missed out on because I was in my head trying to control it, trying to quantify it, trying to define it, as opposed to being in my heart and experience it with someone I really, really and truly care about. And then I thought about in life in general, in photo shoots. And I did a photo shoot yesterday, and I allowed myself to really be present, not only with what I was doing, but with the two gentlemen I was present with in those moments. So that is what came up with me this week, and it just shifted my life.
And what was the difference that you felt yesterday when you were fully present this time shooting? When you brought your awareness to that moment and you stayed present?
Oh, it was a whole new experience. It was so different yesterday. It was just I was with the guys. I wasn't trying to control it. I wasn't trying to think about let's do this, let's do that. It was a flow of being present. And here's the thing. One of the things, what's really important that Ron said to me was fulfillment is allowing yourself to be in the experience of the moment and let it fulfill you and fill you. So yesterday, when I allowed myself to do that and actually caught myself from time to time drifting off into, oh my God, what is this going to look like? Oh, this, the other thing. And I would stop, close my eyes, and move back into the moment. After the photo shoot, I was so fulfilled with it that I actually came home, and the drive home was fulfilling because I allowed myself to be there.
Jeff, I'm curious. What do you think is the root? What is at the root of that? Not as you described it, always thinking ahead. What do you think was at the root of that? What were you trying to, let's say, if I may, ward off?
It's a really trying to control it. So I think I'm in control of the outcome.
Why was that important to you?
Well, it because it was the wound. It was trying to be in control of it, so I could keep avoid those feelings, avoid those wounds, allowing my wounded child to try to control everything, so I wouldn't have to feel vulnerable, wouldn't have to feel certain feelings that came up in the moment. If I'm in my head that I think I'm controlling it, so then I know what the outcome is going to be. If I define it, if I quantify it, then I'm in control of it all.
You know what one sec, Jeff. What I find interesting about this is that yet when you show up on Real Men Real Talk live, I don't perceive that you're showing up that way at all. You tend to come in most of the time, if not much of the time, most of the time, coming in from your heart space and not from your head space. How are you able to, or why do you think you are able to flip the switch that way? And,
Yeah.
or again, looking forward, like if you were to show up in your life the same way you show up in show, there's your answer right there.
It's our connection on this show.
So it's about trust.
Bingo. That's what Ron looked at me and said, it's all about trust, Jeff.
There you go.
It's all about trust. It's all about, and it's not trusting the other person. It's just trusting being. It's just being.
Go ahead, Jeff.
I was going to ask, is it trusting ourselves?
Yeah. It's another path of self-mastery. It's another path of being. It's another path of honoring and valuing ourselves. And there is value there with us. And we could just trust ourselves in that moment to really ingest the experience.
Ev, what are you making of this conversation tonight? What's coming forward?
I'm feeling this is going to be a really deep mind and brain and heart coherence show. Really getting clear on this beautiful connection between the all three. But you know what you're describing there too, Jeff. A lot of people, and I put my hand up plenty of times for this, we go into the future to want to control it because really, brothers and sisters, many of us don't feel in control in the now. And if we're not feeling in control of the now, we'll go searching for the future tense to try and control an outcome because it may be a better place. Now, if we lost control, particular parts within our past, then that isn't going to be a nice place to be either. And then that's when we form depression within our lives. See, if we're constantly future tripping, we're in an anxious mode. We're building up anxiety within our lives. So it's a beautiful illustration of what the monkey mind tends to do. And as we've discussed in plenty of shows, like this operating system that we call the brain, the heart, the software, it really does go through some of those familiar places really to keep us safe, to try and keep us happy, to try and keep us out of fear, anger, and keep us in a survival state. So, I know for a couple of my clients this week, and synchronicity builds in straight away again, they've actually been experienced trying to control this outcome also. And I sat with a beautiful brother the other day, and if he's watching out there, I really honor you, brother, for showing such beautiful vulnerability for the week. And he's actually just had a brain hemorrhage recently. And I sat with the brother for a good 3 hours. And you know what, brothers and sisters, in that time, he was still talking to me about what he should be doing in the future about his work. What's he going to do about his family? What is he going to be doing about this? And I said to the brother, what are we going to be doing about you now, in this present, in this moment? So it is really an example of everything that's culminated up until this point with, I think, in many of our lives that builds so much stress, so much information overload that the mind becomes so cluttered and so distraught that through some of these stress hormones, the body just, it sets the boundary for you. It'll either shut down or it will take you to a place where it says, hey, we got to stop. We got to do something about this. We've got to come back to the present. So yeah, look, that bit of science behind that, I think, creates a little bit of foundation for all of us to really take into inner standing. Because, I still put my hand up. I go future tripping, trying to, be in that place as well. But through my mindfulness techniques and being able to share some of these particular exercises and activities, I'm able to bring myself, ground myself, and center myself back to the present. Now, again, this takes practice, brothers and sisters. But you know what Jeff's talking about there, when we do come back and celebrate these particular time that we call the present, that is where all the magic is, my brothers and sisters.
Yep.
Hey, Ev, I actually was talking to your mini me earlier today, and he was sharing with me how he kind of struggles at times with well, let's see what he has to say.
My mind is like an internet browser. I have 19 tabs, 3 of them are frozen, and I don't know where the music is coming from.
Exactly.
Does it sound familiar, brothers and sisters?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Josh, I'm just curious. Are you able to identify with what Jeff, his epiphany that he had earlier this week, as he was deep in his conversation with Mr. Baker? How do you wrestle with or manage staying present today? And are you noticing any shifts or pivots in your own relationships as you are navigating showing up as your true authentic self, more so than maybe ever?
Sure. I mean, way more than ever through doing this show and holding this beautiful space with you guys and all of our viewers. And it's been an incredible space of healing for me, hugely over the last year. And of course, we see those changes in our life, and it's great. And yeah, I've entered into a new relationship, and for the first time, it actually stuck out to me how present both her and I are with one another, and how special that is, and how unique that is, and how I'm trying to find my words here.
Don't find them, because come from your heart, man.
It's
Take
beautiful.
a deep breath.
It's
Okay.
truly beautiful to be so wildly present, and nothing else matters. It's all about that ebb and flow of just beautiful discussions and talk, and experiencing the other person, and experiencing all that person is, instead of, like Jeff was talking about, future tripping, or thinking about what you should say, or a story that relates to what they're talking about. It's so yes, with this person, it's very easy to just be present. And Jay, you asked me why is it different earlier before the show, and I couldn't tell you why it's easier with this person or easier now. And the answer might just be the growth that I've done over the last, year. And if so, that's beautiful. I'm super grateful. I'm trying not to define it, just enjoy it. So, but something stuck out to me that you guys said, both Jeff and Ev, when you were talking about navigating through all of this and staying present, is that our minds do wander, and it's okay. It's the same sort of framework that we put around meditation, right? Is don't beat ourselves up for the wander, don't judge ourselves for the wander, just come back to the moment. It's like coming back to our breath while meditating. And it took me a long time to learn that while meditating. Meditating for me was supremely difficult in the beginning, because I do have a very active brain. And so what meditation meant for me in the very beginning was judgment, anger. I felt all these things because I was just so frustrated that my brain kept wandering. So I wanted to sort of tie the two together as we talk about staying in the moment and staying present in the moment, is that know that your brain does wander, and it will. And that's what it does. It's a machine. It's calculating data. Some car driving by with some sticker on the side is going to trigger something in your brain, and you're going to shoot off. And just bring yourself back. And I looked up some tips on how to be more present before doing the show. And one of the things it's funny that stood out to me that I've been doing more lately is notice things in the moment. Notice, if you're at a cafe talking to a great friend and enjoying the moment, and you realize you've wandered, notice something on the table or notice something on their face or their clothes that you haven't noticed before. What does a button look like on their shirt? Or, what do the sides of their mouth do when they smile? It's something to ground you back into the moment and bring you back, is a tip to stay uniquely present in these moments that we have. Because, the present is all we got. It's literally, we can't change the past. There's nothing we can do about it. And I've tried for years to wish that things had been different and will them to be different. And they don't. There's no way. And the future, as I think, hopefully we've all learned by now, probably rarely ever ends up the way that we had wanted it to or wished it would anyway. So we can let that go and enjoy the present. Enjoy, truly enjoy, because this is all we have right here, right now.
Yeah, go ahead, Ev. Go ahead.
Yeah, brother, what do you think so many people's minds are wondering at the moment in our
Oh, man.
collective?
Gosh, we're being triggered left and right. I mean, there's a war. This is something that our generation hasn't dealt with before emotionally. And we're seeing all these pictures and images. Imagine all the wars in the past. There wasn't this vivid all day on our phone, social media and TikTok and everywhere scenes of this destruction. And so, yeah, there's so many things that we're being triggered with all day, every day. And the world has moved way faster than our brains have evolved to deal with. If you think about the 100 or so thousand years or several 100,000 years our brains were evolving, we were out on the plains having conversations around a tent and a fire, and the big thing for the day was chasing down the animal. And it was like one singular goal for your day. And now we have probably dozens of goals throughout our day and things to worry about, bills, kids, all of that. So it's not our fault too. The brain is really just scrambling to control and to stay on top of all of this stuff. And so
here's
credit too.
Josh, I want to jump in right now because here's where I'm going to challenge you a little bit here. I'm going to push back. I believe it's a choice. I believe that if we want to show up and be present in our relationships, it's a choice. And what I mean by that is that, yes, there's a lot going on, and it always is going to be something going on outside of ourselves. And where the real choice comes in is how much are you willing to be hijacked by what's happening outside of your home? You got enough, we have enough going on right within inside this home, this body temple. So for me, when I showed up 7 years ago, I owned 7 TVs in my home. Today, I choose to have 0 TVs in my home. I was in a small little town today, just south of Sedona, called Jerome. And as I was strolling, taking a nice little walk through this quaint little artist community, I just scanned the sidewalk. And within 20 or 30 feet of me, every single person was on their device, was on their phone. That's a choice too. Now, what we don't realize, I believe, is that we have become a society addicted to living in the latest update, living in fight or flight, and how the addiction happens, how we get easily seduced is going back to, we've talked about this in prior episodes, is the fight or flight hormone or chemical is cortisol. And right behind that is adrenaline. And so even when we are, let's say in an intimate dinner or an intimate conversation with a friend or someone that we're choosing to be engaged in, what helped me learn how to be more present was before I'd enter into that conversation, I would set an intention for myself to be just that, to be present. Because what I believe, my sense of knowing how I showed up, and I was that man for most of my adult life, if not all of it, till 7 years or so ago, was that the part of us is that's showing up the way Jeff described it in his opening. I believe it's our ego. It's our ego trying to ward off potential danger. And that's our strategy to protect ourselves. If I know the next thing I'm going to say. So it's either coming from ego because we're trying to change the direction or trying to change the pivot in that moment because we're not feeling comfortable. It could be that. It could also be we feel inadequate or inept or not as smart or brilliant or as educated as that person we're having a conversation with. So we're already trying to, it's kind of like we're playing a game of chess. If anyone's played a game of chess, I'm not real good at it, and I'm okay with that today. But the intention usually is that you're trying to be 2 steps ahead of the next of your opponent's move. And that's exactly how we show up in our relationships. Always trying to be 2 steps ahead to ward off danger or to ward off, that us feeling less than or feeling insulted
not
or feeling
worthy or
whatever it is. But Jeff, I love what you experienced this week was that there's a whole nother way to show up in our relationships and in life. And that's one of the reasons why I choose to engage in a video chat 99% of the time when I'm not present physically with the individual. But if we're going to have a phone call, I don't want to have a phone call anymore because I want to be present with them. I want to see them. I want to see their expressions. I want to be able to feel the body language, see it in present. And so if any of you out there haven't experienced or haven't embraced, I've got my spiritual and wisdom mentor who reached out to me last night and said, I want to have a conversation with you. And I have a question to ask of you. And now he's not on an iPhone, he's on an Android. So we couldn't do a video chat. So I was like, hey, Dwayne, can I video chat you? Can I give you a ring on Messenger? And he was like, sure, of course. Why not? So there, if it's not Messenger, there's other apps. There's WhatsApp. There's a few others out there. There's Hangout. I always refer to it as Hangover. But in any event, that's just this from my perspective. It really comes down to now that we have the awareness around, we have a choice how we show up. Are we going to show up relationally coming from our head, or are we relationally ready to show up from our heart space? Now, especially as men, it's simple, not easy, especially if we're not accustomed to even knowing what that can look like or feel like. How do we as men show up from, I'm referring to as our heart space? What do you think that looks like, Ev?
I think you just said it again too, brother. How do things feel in the moment, brothers and sisters? And one of those things to keep us really present and mindful in the moment is to use these beautiful things we call senses. And so many of us up until this point, we've got to start thinking about where our focus and our attention has been. See, if we're coming from that brain sight, we're always constantly looking out there trying to focus on particular things. Have you ever closed your eyes in the moment? Taken in the sensory of the surroundings and the environment, smell the aromas around you, touch things around you. You see, so many of us, we've become disconnected from those things because we're too connected to the tech. And we are all being desensitized at this moment, brothers and sisters. So until we start really anchoring and connecting back to those sensory systems that is part of this body that is made for this planet itself, then we will always come from the head space. So that's one thing for me, particularly that I help with clients, is really starting to get involved with some of those senses that they may not be using, particularly when they're caught up in their head space.
Yeah.
Beautiful. One of the new things I've been doing, Ev, when I've been working out every morning is staying present with my body. Like, how often are we truly, truly present with our body? Like, just experiencing everything. And it's been a really fun sort of meditative practice while I work out. It's just pushing all the rest away. What is my body feeling? What is my body experiencing? What muscles am I feeling right in the moment? And just staying uniquely present with my body. It's something I've never done before, and it's fantastic. We have this one body our whole lives. How often do we notice it and feel it and recognize it and be with it? And it's been really, really, it's made the workouts really just a whole new experience. It's been really fun.
So a mindful workout.
That's what they're called, Jay. Mindful exercising. It's a mindfulness practice.
Well, it's all mind. If we really move into mindfulness, I mean, pick up Thich Nhat Hanh and go and talk and read about mindfulness. Really living in a mindfulness state, not only for others but ourselves. It's truly about being in the moment, in the present of now. One of the things that happened going back to my photo shoot yesterday is, in the past, and this is really important, it's about seeking something outside of us, seeking this hit to our nervous system, seeking something. When I would finish a photo shoot, I'd be so involved in it and my adrenaline would be pumping and I'd be in it. I would leave a photo shoot and I would, after it was over, I'd feel empty. And I would come home or wherever it was, and I would just feel an emptiness inside of me. And I explained that, and I started thinking about that. And yesterday when I left that photo shoot, I did not feel that way for the first time. I did not feel empty inside. I was fulfilled because I wasn't getting a hit to my nervous system that I needed to do this photo shoot. It wasn't something, it wasn't a linear thing. And I never realized that until, Tuesday with my conversation with Ron, and then purposefully being in the moment of yesterday, I did not feel that emptiness after I left. I felt fulfilled within and really enjoyed it. And that's one of the big shifts now, because I allowed myself to simply be in the moment, allow my creative juices to flow like it normally does. But it was just different. It was a presence of myself in the moment, where then I was more present with the people I was with in the moment. And it was such a much more fulfilling time doing that, as opposed to getting validation and gratification.
Let me ask you, Jeff, I'm curious, have you had a moment yet to look at the photos that you captured yesterday to see if you were able to see anything that's different?
I was curious about that too.
Interesting.
I was curious about that
I
too.
really
for
haven't. I looked at a few. They're much warmer than they are. They're much more. They're warmer in a sense where, warmer is there. There's more presence in the images
Wow.
with the guys.
Wow.
Yeah, I was looking at them today, and we were laughing a lot. So there's
So you had
capturing a lot of
fun.
that.
You weren't working, you were having fun.
Yeah, I mean, I always have a blast, but it was just a new level of having a blast.
So let me ask you this, Josh. As you are probably just a number of weeks from back at the Shark Tank on set for the next season, how do you think you could show up differently? I think this is season 14 coming up, or I've lost track. Season
Oh, you're
14.
spot on. 14.
What are you willing to commit to tonight? To the whole universe, how are you going to show up differently in season 14 than the prior 13 seasons that you were on set? Based on our conversation tonight.
What? Just listening to you guys tonight, and I had thought about it briefly after we picked the topic, but I hadn't noticed fully. You guys, when I was a kid, my folks bought me this book called Industrial Light and Magic, and it was George Lucas's company outside of San Francisco that did all the models for Raiders of the Lost Ark and all these really cool. Like, I literally feasted on every page and took in every detail and dreamed of being on movie and TV sets. Like, for years, this book it's probably one of my favorite things that I was ever given. And it certainly inspired me to want to do this. But then I, of course, had to get over all of my stories and fears and all of that to actually get out here. But in the last almost 20 years that I've been on film and TV sets of some big shows, I can probably count on two hands how many times I stopped in the moment of what I was doing on these huge sets I was on Deadwood with like teams of 8 horses drawing a carriage down the street. Everybody's in costume. That was like one moment that I pulled myself out of what I needed to do or my to-do list or the things I was doing that day and said, whoa, take in the moment for a second. I can, in 20 years, I could probably count. I might not even be able to fill both hands. How sad is that? This is something I dreamed and would have killed for as a child. And I made it happen for myself, and I've missed it. I've missed a lot of it, which is really, really, really sad. So, that said, and this realization this week, thank you guys and the show for all of these amazing insights and ahas that we bring forth for each other and to ourselves. Yeah, I want to be present on set this time. And I want to be there, and I want to let little Josh play.
There you go.
I want to let little Josh out, and I want him to run around the stage and go, holy shit, we're here. We did it.
Yeah.
We did it.
Man. Yeah, man.
Yes. And you don't have to pick a day on a calendar to do that. You could do that.
I can do it every day.
Every day that you're on set. Just take a moment. It's not like we have to carve out another 30 minutes to have that moment. Just take a moment to just to breathe and just scan and acknowledge what you have accomplished in your life, and let that be more than enough. I want to share with you guys. I'm going to share something that no one outside of my home is aware of in this moment, but I was guilty as charged. I didn't show up present in most of my life, in most of my relationships, in most of my conversations. And I got affirmation last night And it just struck me as I'm listening to the three of you share. I was asked last night by my spiritual mentor to officiate at his wedding. And that wouldn't have been possible in my past. And I think the gift that I received was because I've become trustworthy in my relationships because I'm present. And I don't think we really dived into why he asked me, other than he said there was nobody else. It's you. And for me, it is the greatest honor that I have received in my life. Truly. The way I showed up in the past, I wasn't worthy of that honor. But I accepted it with dignity and grace last night. And thankfully I have a year. I have a year to get done what I got to get done. But for me, the truth is the only thing I got to get done is just show up.
There you go.
And be present. There is no rehearsals. I'm just going to let whatever needs to unfold. And this wouldn't have happened if I had continued to remain always in my head when I was in a conversation with somebody. And I've shared this on the show before, and I want to bring it up. How many times we may even receive a compliment from somebody, and we receive it again in our head, in our headspace, our mind. We very rarely receive it in our heart space. And how I know that is that anytime I would receive a compliment in the past, I really wouldn't take time to process it, meaning let it drop from my head down into my heart so that I could feel it radiating throughout, the way you just described the shift for you in a photo shoot last night, Jeff, or what you've just shared, Josh. I think it's okay when someone gives us a compliment, whether it be something we've said or a new hairstyle if we have hair, or a pretty dress or clothing or jewelry. It's okay to say to that individual, I just want to take a moment to process what you just shared with me. I do that today. Because for me, taking that moment it's taking a deep breath, closing my eyes. And this isn't taking like 10 minutes. This is like maybe 5 seconds at most, but allowing me to receive a beautiful, loving compliment, not taking it to my ego, but allowing it to drop in. It's a beautiful way. How many times, I don't know about you guys, but I've witnessed so many women in my life that would receive a compliment and they would feel the need to discount the compliment. Oh, I got it on sale at Target. Oh, I got it at Walmart. I paid $5 for it. They're almost justifying that they're not worthy of that beautiful compliment that they got because they're devaluing something on them that they chose to buy and wear to look good or look pretty or feel better about themselves. Yet they would discount it by saying how much of a discount they got it. Oh, it was a hand-me-down, or I picked it up at Goodwill. I say, stop it. I just stop doing that. Like, accept a compliment, accept it with love, accept it because you are worthy of it. You earned that. What do you make of it, Pisano?
It's about creating a place in our heart for that to land. How many, I think we're all four of us are guilty of all of that. Is we have to create a place through releasing enough for something to land, and to, when a compliment comes our way, it's not something that is validating us. That is where the wound comes in. That's where the mental part of our brain comes in. If a compliment is simply an affirmation of what we already know, and we could say thank you, and I'm guilty of it. A couple of months ago, somebody said something to me, a woman here. She was photographing next to me, and I had just met her that night, and she's young. And she said, wow, I couldn't believe that I was standing next to you photographing. You're probably one of the best photographers in this town. And I heard it, and I was like, whoa. And then I spoke to a friend of mine, and I said, what do I do with that? And the person just went, what? What do you mean? What do you do with that? And I was in my mind, is there a place for that to land in you, that compliment to land in you? This was a while back. This is this is a while back. And the work that I've done to this point in time, really now I could just say, thank you, and let it land without it needing to validate you. So if we're seeking validation for ourselves, that's all anything's going to be about. That's the inner work that Ev always we all talk about, that Ev talks about, is to moving in and creating. What I mean by creating a place for it to land is about building ourselves up inside of honoring and valuing and loving ourselves. So that compliment is not a validation of who we are. For me, it always was that in the past. Somebody said, you're fantastic. What a great photographer. Oh, thank you. You've just validated me. And so it's really not a compliment of our accomplishments, the work we've done, how good we may look, because that's just about how we feel about ourselves, or what Jay just talked about. It's really, oh, wow, I'm seeking that validation, but we're unconscious of that. I was totally unconscious that when someone would say, wow, great job on a photo shoot, that I wasn't hearing it as a compliment of my of how I gave my talents, gifts, and abilities and my energy. I heard it as validation that I was worthy.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's we've kind of digressed here a little bit, and that's okay though, because the board's lighting up right now. I want to share with you, just witnessing what I'm witnessing in my own life is as my partner is really expanding in her skills in the kitchen as a really, really talented, amazing homegrown chef. She's practicing learning how to receive acknowledgement and a compliment. And I'm able to witness and see how she's starting to kind of receive it. I could almost energetically feel her receiving the compliment. And she's not receiving it here because she's not comfortable receiving it here. And I'm able to witness her letting it drop down at her soul level. And it's beautiful to be able to witness watching someone else shift a pivot from the egoic compliment of affirmation to receiving a compliment of truth about either your skills, your passion, something you're talented at, or something about you that makes you who you are. And so it's just a beautiful, it's an honor for me. As I've witnessed in my own home, the lotus flower in bloom, full bloom. It's so beautiful. Yeah. And so what's that?
Good. You know what? Sorry to interrupt, but this is just popped into my head. I don't want to forget it. How available are we to be seen?
Oh yeah. Well, most of us. That's a beautiful question, Fasano. Why? Because, and I could say that because you're from New York and so am I, and we all know that. But Fasano, that is. But yeah, I mean, how many of us, we hide behind the armor? We don't want to be seen.
Right.
That's,
Mhm.
and that's just part of an indication of something deeper, which is that, if you see me, then maybe, well, maybe what? What
Exactly.
will happen if you see me?
Exactly. It's
Yep.
this. It's when someone gives you a compliment, gives us a compliment, what they're really saying is, I see you.
Hmm.
Ah,
I see
Yeah.
you.
Yep.
and
So
if we're
what do
not,
we
and if
what
we're
do we
not
do?
accustomed to receiving those,
Right.
being seen, then it's very uncomfortable.
And what do we see
How
in that moment? What do we what do we say in them? A wonderful tool is when someone offers you a compliment. What are the feelings that come up? And what is the first thing that you do? Jay talked about somebody, oh, wow, you look fantastic in that dress. Oh, I bought it at the first thing you say is, oh, I bought it at Target for $10, $15. It was on sale, as opposed to closing your eyes saying, oh, wow, what am I feeling right now?
Mm.
What is coming up for me right now? But what is the first thing? If we react right away after a compliment, what we're really doing is deflecting that energy coming at us, which is more than likely a beautiful energy because we're not
Mm.
used to it.
Jeff,
Mm.
you just absolutely terrified old me. I have
Why?
to say,
Tell me more.
when you leaned in and said, I see you.
Yeah.
Do you know how freaked out old me would,
Me too.
it's funny. I just put myself in my old self. I would have been terrified if you'd said that.
Yeah.
Why?
Oh,
Absolutely terrified
yeah.
because I didn't like the person that I was
There you
Oh,
go.
afraid you'd see.
There you go.
Yeah. But
All
just
about
think about it,
self-worth.
Josh. Josh, just think about it. When someone says that to us lovingly, they're seeing all the lovely and wonderful parts of us. The compliment is seeing all the lovely and wonderful parts of us. And why the hell are we terrified of that? I mean, I'm not any longer. I might
Right.
feelings will come up, but I'm
Mm.
not terrified any longer. But that's my question, even to the audience. When someone compliments you, when something comes up and somebody is actually saying, I see you, they're seeing all the beautiful, wonderful parts of you. And then they might be seeing you terrified by them seeing you, and they have a smile on their face, but we're still terrified. And that's pretty amazing about, and then it's just the challenge of staying in the moment with it.
I want to take
Mm.
a moment here just to acknowledge. I love what Beverly said here. Take a moment to let this drop in, gentlemen. Being seen is not as important as to see the being. Now, where I read that like 3 times, Beverly, and I want to thank you for sharing that. There's a wisdom nugget right there. And where I'm going to take
Yep.
it, gentlemen, is as I've got three children. Well, between Mary and I, we got 6 kids that are between the ages of about 24 and 30, almost 32, 33 now. And that whole generation is about being seen.
Hmm.
It's the perfect TikTok. It's a perfect photo shot, the selfie shot that's going to show up on social media. It's all of the changes that we desire to make to our bodies because we want to be seen differently. Whether we're doing enhancements to our face, to our chest, to our butt, anywhere in our body, so that I'm talking about plastic surgery type of experiences. Now, I'm not here to digress into this is a whole nother topic in itself, but that's where I took it was like there is a difference between being seen, wanting to be seen, and just being and being acknowledged for who you are as you are and being at peace with that. Is that ever going to be enough?
Well, what I think, it's when I say I see you, it's not about I'm seeing the physical you. We see that. What I mean when the compliment comes is seeing through the armor to your soul and your heart. That's what I mean about I see you.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah.
Totally. That's what tonight's show is all about.
Yeah.
I believe at the end of the day, if we really break it down, it comes down to being present enough so that we can see, and we can also show up and be seen as who we are. As we approach the hour, gentlemen, I want to invite each one of you, perhaps if we have time. If not, we'll jump off air here. But give me perhaps share one tool, one tip, one trick or tool that we can use to as stepping stones to change our relationship with our experiences, so that we are no longer playing small in our life. Meaning that how can we show up more present in every engagement of every conversation with everyone that we choose to be relational with, so that we are present and we're not in our heads thinking about the next thing we're going to say. Josh, what do you got? Any tips on that?
Man, show your heart. Because the second you show your heart, all that effort and energy that you used to spend hiding it or hiding the truth, show the true you. People love it. Look at the show and the success of the show. People love authenticity. People love vulnerability. That connection that people are starving for in this world right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you show the true you, all of that time wasted on polishing that armor and and all the avoidance and all of the deflecting and all of that, it's just, I don't know, maybe it's me getting old and getting tired, or maybe I just finally wised up, but it's a whole lot easier. It's a little bit scarier for sure, but we can navigate through that as well in an open way and loving way with ourselves. So
Beautiful. Ev, what do you got? We're actually going to invite you just to close this out right now. Put a pretty bonus show and call it.
Go for it, Ev.
No, look, tonight, my brothers and sisters, we've really been talking about staying in this present, really enjoying the experience in the moment. And I think if you wrap it all up in that nice, pretty bro that Jay's talking about, we're talking about the past, present, and future here. And, in my culture, many cultures, we actually knew that the past, present, and future coexisted all as the one. But something that really brings all of that together, my brothers and sisters, is time itself. So for me, the most simplest thing that we could all do right now, brothers and sisters, slow down. Just slow down. Really become mindful of some of this beautiful experience we're having as a human being. Now, we talked about Sister Beautiful Mary with her creation and her skills in the kitchen with food. One thing for me, it could be as simply as showing some beautiful connection with some of those aromas that you cook each day. It could be something as simple as feeling the textures of some of the food that we eat. You see, when we slow down, we start to experience life for what it is. We flipped this frame of mind for being too busy, too fast, for trying to make things happen now in the present that we can't control in the future, into a frame of mind of gratitude. So when we practice more gratitude, we slow down, we calm our nervous system down, my brothers and sisters. The brain will not wander trying to go overload with all of these thoughts that we overload ourselves with daily. And we'll simply enjoy ourselves in this now, in this present moment. So on that note, my brothers and sisters, hope you've enjoyed tonight's show, Real Men, Real Talk Live. We're looking forward to diving in deep again next week. But we're in the future here, Jay. And in the future here, it says one of our other sisters is having a birthday today.
Yeah.
And that is Miss Gillian.
Ah,
Oh, well,
yeah.
we also have Angela or Angie Blakely.
Well, there
She's
you
also
go.
celebrating a
Mm.
special day. And if there's anyone that we missed, it's a strong possibility there may be a few others. Feel free to drop it down in the comments, and so we could all honor and have a moment of celebration with you. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Happy birthday, Jillian, coming in from I believe Scotland.
Ooh.
Mhm.
As well as we have Angie coming in from Chicago, Illinois area. Happy birthday to both of you beautiful women. Thank you for supporting our program. We will be back here next week on Real Men Real Talk Live. My only offer to all of you this evening is to take some time this weekend to be more cognizant of how you're showing up in your relationships, be present so that you can receive the gift of that moment. And the gift of that moment is a whole new way to show up and feel connected to people outside of yourself. And with that, I love you guys. You are amazing. When I think about how much love I have for each one of you, I can easily get chills and get choked up. I'm so grateful that I have you in my life today to get together once a week and deep dive into a topic that it affects all of us as men, as well as in relationships with women. And so thank you all for joining us this evening. We'll catch you next week on Real Men Real Talk Live. Peace and blessings. Love you all.